Okay. So today, we are going to put a lot of work into editing our compare and contrast articles. They are due tomorrow, so we're going to take extra time this afternoon to go over them and make sure everyone is all set to go. So, when we need to look at editing our papers, Parker, can you see from there? Yeah. You might need to squint in a little bit more. You got to be able to read this. We have to look at what is revision versus what is editing. So revision is the big picture. And as somebody pointed out to me yesterday, and this is purposeful, why does that say arms and cups? That is to help you remember the differences between editing and revision. So revision, the big picture, everybody take your arm, go like this. Now take your hand, put it like this to your ear. You use your arm and your hand to put your hand up to your ear and hear the story. You hear the whole thing, and it's revision because you're trying to hear the ideas and the content behind it and the different voices that the author puts into your article. That's a little different from our compare and contrast, but especially in your personal narrative pieces. You need to be listening to the whole story, yours or somebody else's. So the A stands for add words and sentences. To be descriptive, capture all ideas. So we talked about this the other day with narrative pieces, with adding those sensory details. And that's not as big of a thing in your compare and contrast articles, but you still want to make sure you're getting your ideas across. So you want to make sure you have enough to tell your story. The R is to remove words and phrases, so be concise. Remember those concrete words we were talking about the other day? That's what I mean. So you don't want to explain the same idea in 5 sentences in a row and just say your words in a whole bunch of different order, because that doesn't make your writing better. So being concise can do that. Concise where you need it, and then details where you need them too. M is to move words in sentences. That helps with sentence fluency and organization. So I know when I write a lot of papers, sometimes I just need to get all my ideas down on the page, and then later I go back and say, okay, this sounds better in the introduction, this sounds better later on, and I move everything around. And S for substitute words and sentences, so word choice. One big thing I want to talk about with word choice is the first word of every sentence that you use. In the descriptive pieces, we saw a lot of the same word starting each sentence. So whether it was, hi, my name is, I'll just use Jane Goodall. First, I was born in 1934, then I grew up on a farm, then I went to school, then I went to college, then I decided that I was going to travel to Africa and pursue my dream of studying animals. So then, that gets kind of boring, and you guys know better transition words than to use to start a sentence. So someone give me an example. If you were writing your compare and contrast article and you wrote your paragraph on similarities or on one of your scientists or one of your things, and you went to go tell the story of the differences, what's a word you could use to start off that whole paragraph? That would be a good transition word. Peter?
Also.
Also. What else, Greta?
Things that are different.
Things that are different. Tegan?
Next.
Next. Yes, Lucy?
Some similarities.
Some similarities. Julia?
Differences.
One of the differences.
Another difference.
Another difference. Those are all good. The only thing you want to look out for is not using the same one every time. So instead of saying, so say you say one of the differences is, and then the next phrase you want to use by contrast, maybe something completely different. Don't even use the word difference. And then later in that paragraph, if you want to say differences again, that's fine. It's not only using one word per paragraph and being super specific, it's getting it to sound better by switching it up a little bit. All right, editing. So take your hand again, form a little circle. This would be like if you had a cup with a hole in the bottom, you're looking through it like a telescope, scoping in on the little details of your piece of writing. So that's, you remember, cups. So what was arms?
This.
This. You're the big picture.
Today I like that.
Cups.
That is my
Hi, Owen. I like to call it tweaking because you have the big picture all ironed out and now you're just fixing like the little details to make it sound better, to improve the flow and some of those other conventions that we talked about. So the C stands for capitalization. Like we talked about the other day, sometimes when we type on Chrome we get a little lazy and don't capitalize those I's for I or I'm or anything like that. Proper names, proper nouns, names. So the names of the month, places, people's names all have to be capitalized. First, middle, and last names. Usage. That makes your paper make sense. So each of your sentences has a subject and a verb. Probably a noun, could be your subject. And that's making sure they flow and you use them in the same tense. So would it make sense if I said, last Saturday I go to the store? No. That's a pretty simple one that sticks out to you guys now. Sometimes they're a little harder to catch. But when you read those sentences out loud with your writing partner, a lot of them will sound just a little bit funny. Maybe not as clear as last Saturday I go to the store, because that's below your writing level and your reading level. So be on the lookout for that. Punctuation, including breaking up really long sentences with commas or periods to break them apart. We had quite a few run-on sentences in our papers, which is why we're doing this now, because I think we just need to spend just a little more time on revision, and then they would be really awesome. So, punctuation. What goes at the end of a sentence? What else?
Exclamation point.
What else?
Question mark.
Question mark. Am I missing any? To maybe combine two sentences together, you could use a comma and a conjunction. Do you remember your fanboys?
Oh yeah.
For, and,
Nor,
But,
or,
yet,
so.
Perfect. Or a semicolon, if you're breaking that up. But comma conjunction is a more used piece. Yeah, Greta? Semicolon is a way you can combine two sentences. It's like the dot that has the comma right below it.
Oh.
So it's a way to combine two sentences that are similar but too long to be a single sentence.
Oh.
It's a different way. Instead of using a comma and conjunction, that can be something that you use. Lucy?
Well, for like the semicolon, like I know there's like a colon and I know what that's for,
Yes.
but I'm still kind of confused on like what it's like for.
Colon. You probably won't have a lot of those. A colon can be used if you're going to announce like a list of things.
Yeah.
So you could say, Jersey Junction has 4 flavors of ice cream, and then put a colon and then say, vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, Superman. That's one example. If you want to put a colon in your paper, we can take that apart and look at it a little closer to see where one would fit, but it's not something you just usually add in just because you want to. You good, Sam? Okay. And the last thing, spelling, even the hard words. If we need to Google them, because spell check can't even catch them because you might have something so off, sometimes I still have to look up words to spell. And I know spell check gets me most of the time, but I have to practice that even with words. When I write stuff up on the board, a lot of times I'll go, wait, does the I or the E come first? So be on the lookout with your writing partner for that. That's something that 2 I's or 2 sets of I's can catch more easily than one, like the differences between there and there. Or if you accidentally add a letter to a word that's not supposed to be there, or leave one out, like sand, but it was supposed to be stand, and you just were typing fast and left out the T. Yeah, Julia?
My dad's saying for like if an I comes before E, it's I before E, but not after C.
Except after C, yes. But there's exceptions to that even,
Yeah.
like the word science, but we can get into that later. Okay, what you're doing today. Each writing partner, pair, or trio is going to get one of these sets of cards. Right now, we just have 12, so just like a class set for people to work on in pairs or groups of 3. But if they become a really good tool for us, I can make some more and give them to everyone. Today is going to be our sort of practice with using them. So it has 6 different things to look out for that fit in this. I put the revision stuff at the beginning and the editing stuff at the end. So if you go through them in order, the first one is word choice. So it has the instructions on here for exactly what to do. You're going to take one chrome per partner, pair, or group. So if me and Lucy were partners, we would take my chrome or her chrome, open up just one paper, and look at the same chrome at the same time and go over it together. Okay? So just pick one, and then when you're done, you can sign out and sign into the other person's account to do the other paper. So, word choice. You're going to go through, and every time you come across a really good, powerful verb or descriptive noun, just something that sounds awesome, you're going to underline it. So, highlight it, and then Control U to underline it. If you get through and you're like, there's not a lot of descriptive words, but you could add some in, then just go back and do that. Make suggestions, because you are there to help your partner. The other one on this page is talking about descriptive words and phrases. So they kind of go together, but it breaks it down a little bit. If you see a really descriptive sentence where you're like, wow, that is awesome, you're going to change it to bold so it stands out. So Control V. And if you get to the end and you're like, there's not, but again, this paragraph could have some awesome description in it. Just make some suggestions for what might sound good. Yeah, Greta?
I still need to type out mine.
Okay, we'll get that figured out in a minute, alright? The second one is ideas and content. So the first one asks to go through and see if there's any spaces where the writer goes off topic. So maybe they're talking about, who is Parker? You're doing a telescope.
Yeah.
So maybe you're talking about telescopes and you get a little off task and all of a sudden you're on telescope. It's sort of like a microscope in some ways. But it's not really important to what you're trying to say. Your writing partner can go, oh, no, we might need to get rid of that. And the other one asks if you include all the information that you needed. When you read through it, does it make sense? Do you feel like you're missing details about the telescope, about this other scientist that you're studying? The third one is organization. So it asks you to italicize the lead and the conclusion. Make sure you have a strong lead and a strong conclusion. I put some of the examples we talked about the other day in there for how to have a strong lead or conclusion. So you might need to work on that. And this is talking about the order. Is it written in a way that makes sense? Or do they go, okay, similarities, then here's something about this scientist, and then similarities, which could be okay, but maybe in that case it doesn't make sense. And you'll know. If you're reading it and you get a little lost in the middle, that's where you know something might need to be added or changed. The next one is sentence fluency, which also helps with the flow and how you read it. So this one asks you to read your paper out loud, which we've practiced. If there's any times you get to a sentence and you have to read it more than once because something in there isn't right, like a word or the way it's ordered, then highlight it all to yellow or just change the color to yellow. Keep reading through the end and then go back and fix those. Those are those ones that you can catch easily when you read out loud. And this one, the first word that I was talking about. Look at all the words they use to start each and every sentence. If you want them to stand out, change them to purple. They'll really start to pop off the page. And if you use the same word to start a sentence more than a couple times in each paragraph, I want you to pick some new ones to change some of them too. So use some good transition words, phrases, say the word difference in a different way. So by contrast, by comparison, you can get some of that better word choice in there. Voice. What is voice? Not that kind of voice, but in your writing. What is your voice? Greta?
So maybe if you're reading something, you're not reading it like a robot, like reading it with expression.
What helps you read something with expression? An idea, Owen?
Sometimes like dialogue, kind of, because like when so if it was like I ate pizza, and I want to be like I ate that, and then there would be like I ate that warm, cheesy, delicious pizza.
Yeah, so it's a lot about what the writer puts in to the piece. So if I'm reading Lucy's, I want to be able to tell that was written by Lucy. Like her voice, her personality should come through that. Like Parker, your descriptive article was 110% you in the beginning, where you were like, I wonder what's up in the, oh, what was that? Like when I read that, I could hear your voice in my head saying it in the beginning. And Peter, yours was the same way with your audience speech. That was a very Peter thing to do. So that's what we want when we read your pieces of writing. Like, I want to be able to tell that Julia or Ava wrote it. So that is something your writing partner can help with too. If there's something that sounds like too, I call it textbooky, like copy and paste off Wikipedia, just change it. Make it more descriptive, add details, say it in a way that a 5th grader would say, because these are written by 5th graders, right? Unless something changed. You're still 5th grader, All right, and then the last one on this page talks about the emotion, some of the stuff that goes into improving your voice. So adding feelings, thoughts, emotions, a lot of that stuff we talked about the other day with our personal narratives. And the last one is all the conventions. This is the only one that has 4 different things on one because they're smaller things. So this one is paragraphs. Each new paragraph started spaced down and indented for a paragraph. Does it have a capital letter at the beginning of the paragraph? If you use dialogue in your pieces, which you might in your descriptive and your narratives, then those have to be like starting a new paragraph too. Those are separated. Lucy?
For the paragraphs, like for my paragraphs, I just hit enter and then like
The tab? Yep.
But like there's not like a space between them.
No, that's okay. You don't need that. If we change the spacing of your papers, they would put like a natural space in. Right now there's single space. So it doesn't look like there's a space, but that's good. The indent is what you want. Second is spelling. Are all the words spelled correctly, even the difficult ones? 3 is capitalization and punctuation. The big ones. Those are ones you can read through quickly. I know sometimes you just kind of gloss over the period when you're typing, but those are the ones you want to go back and just check every sentence. And then the last one is the grammar correct, like we talked about with subject-verb agreement over here. Did you go to the store last Thursday? Or when you're saying it, you would say, I went to the store last Saturday. What the example was. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about is a little phrase that Mrs. Miller coined about writing partners, Alex, and I really like it. She says to be a power partner, not a polite partner. Now, this is not giving you permission to be a rude partner. You can always be polite in everything that you do, but to be a power partner, would a power partner just gloss over, like read quickly their person's article and be like, oh yeah, that's good? No. There's always something that can be fixed. Even if it's the best piece of writing that you've done all year, we could even work on taking your vocabulary to the next level, choosing some 6th grade or 7th grade words to put in there that you didn't do, or varying up your sentence length and stuff like that. That was the only problem we ran into last time with editing, is that I think you guys were being too much of a polite partner, which isn't always what you want. So what would a power partner do in this situation with this booklet and your partner, Lucy?
They would be very, very, very honest.
Yes.
And so if the writing partner thinks that it's like really good and they really, really like it, but you don't think that it's the best, or you think that it's like lousy or something, then you need to just put it out there and be honest.
So you don't tell them that it's bad. You don't say, wow, this is terrible. Did you put any time in this at all? No, but you could say, you know what I think we could work on? This first thing right here. Let's see if we can find some of those things. Because that would be really helpful. That's how you would want someone to edit your paper, right? Like, oh, I didn't notice that I had all those spelling mistakes when I typed it up quick. I'm glad that you caught them. Peter.
Can I do an example of one?
Sure.
Okay. So let's say I wrote one and I think I did amazing. Like, kind of like what Lucy said. I think I did good, but like I kind of missed out. Like when I edit it, I kind of leave out some of the stuff I use. And Bennett, it's my writing partner, he could be like, Peter, you like left out some really key stuff in this. And I could say, well, I thought it was like useless, but like then he could try and talk me into it. Like you never, like if he thinks it was good, he could talk me into it and say, I didn't think that was useless. In fact, that was good information.
Right, they can help you fill in the gaps. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So it was like we talked about with your personal narratives. The story makes sense to you. Your writing makes sense to you because you have all the information in your head. but your writing partner didn't research that same thing or write their narrative about the same thing. So you need to make sure it's clear so other people can read it and know exactly what you mean by that. Because I don't like to read somebody's paper and be left with a bunch of questions. Wait, that sounded like an important piece of information you could have put in there. That would have really made your second paragraph awesome. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to spread out around the room. One group can go out into the hall. Has there been a group who has not worked out in the hall yet? Greta, your group could go out in the hall today. You hold on, just sit down. Sit down. All the way. Hold down. Thank you. Each pair or trio needs one of these. Alex, how many of these do you need for each pair and trio? One. And how many chromes? One. Okay, I'll move that off the table too so that table can be used again. So I'm gonna carry these with me, so come see me when you're ready for one of them. Oh yes, go ahead guys.
1, 2, 3,
Bye.